Thank you very much, everybody. I think it's a very important day. In many ways, we'll start with the Houthis. We go to Pakistan and India. We go to what we did with China, the trade deal, and with UK. And by the way, many other deals are coming in very much. At a certain point, we'll just set the price because we know where we are. But we'll just set the price. But world trade is going to be terrific, and our country is going to be making a lot of money. Taxes are going to go down. Taxes are going to go down very, very substantially. But you look at all of the things that we've done, and now today I'm heading over. We'll see what we're going to do with respect to Iran. I think you have very good things happening there, too, by the way. I think they can't have a nuclear weapon, but I think that they are talking intelligently. We're in the midst of talking to them, and they're right now acting very intelligent. We want Iran to be wealthy and wonderful and happy and great, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. And so I think they understand that I mean business, and I think they're being very reasonable thus far. And don't underestimate Thursday in Turkey. President Erdogan is going to be a great host, and we are doing some work with him having to do with Syria, too, by the way. We're going to have to make a decision on the sanctions, which we may very well relieve. We may take them off of Syria because we want to give them a fresh start.
Salty Girl on X posted 3:54 a.m. May 13, 2025. Trump calls out the corrupt MSM. Trump, a genocide is happening and you refuse to write about it? Farmers in South Africa that happen to be white are being killed? If roles were reversed, you would be covering the story non-stop.
I want to ask you about South African refugees. Dozens of Afrikaners who claim discrimination in their home country are heading to the United States, where your administration is going to welcome them as refugees. Now, this comes as you've halted virtually all refugee admissions for people fleeing famine and war from countries like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for Afrikaners but not others?
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa. And the newspapers and the media, television media, doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they talk about it. That would be the only story they talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to escape from that violence and come here. Yeah.
This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator in Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. They knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought, unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people.
A flashback to 8 years ago, May 2017, when President Trump last visited Saudi Arabia. Dan Scavino. Smooth Ray responds, correction, Dan. A flashback to 8 years ago, May 2017, when President Trump last visited Saudi Arabia, is when the capitulation tour began. Wonder what will happen this time around. Forwarded from Rambo and Friends. Boom. Future proves past. Who remembers? Trump already told us at the Whirlpool speech. This may be the last time you see me for a while. I'm cutting out the middlemen. Now today, confirmation. How long has this operation really been going on? How much of this happened beyond the public eye?
Often in the same plant. It's a disgrace. And the politicians allowed this to happen for many, many decades. You have people called middlemen. I don't know who the middlemen are. I don't know. They never say middle women, so they're politically not correct. But I've heard the term middlemen for a long time. They are so wealthy. They are so wealthy. Nobody has any idea who the hell they are or what they do. They make more money than the drug companies. In all fairness, at least the drug companies have to produce a product. And it has to be a good product. But the middlemen, well, the rebate that I'm doing cuts out the middlemen and it reduces costs, and the money goes back to the people purchasing the drugs. So I have a lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what I do. No other president would do a favored nations, a rebate, a buy from other nations at much less cost. Nobody. And there are a lot of unhappy people, and they're very rich people, and they're very unhappy. Here's my fourth promise to America.
The same price as other countries. To accelerate these price restrictions and reductions, my administration will also cut out the middlemen. We're going to totally cut out the famous middlemen. Nobody knows who they are, middlemen. I've been hearing the term for 25 years, middlemen. I don't know who they are, but they're rich. That I can tell you. We're going to cut out the middlemen and facilitate the direct sale of drugs at the most favored nation price directly to the American citizen. So we're cutting out, Bobby, the middlemen. It's so important, right? You got to do that. They're worse than the drug companies. They don't even make a product, and they make a fortune. It's very smart business people, that I can tell you. If companies make no significant progress toward most favored nation pricing, which we will insist that they do, so I think I'm wasting time talking about it. We're going to insist upon it. And we'll insist, and we're going to help the drug companies with the other nations, because those other nations do a lot of trading with us. They need our trade, just like China needed us very badly. They need us just as badly. We will do whatever we have to with trade, just like we did some great things with trade with India and Pakistan. It really helped the situation, very heated situation.
Typical African, posted on X, 2:14 a.m. May 10th, 2025. This CIA agent was never seen again after revealing the secret of how the West keeps Africa poor.
We work many different ways, but perhaps the most common is that we will identify a third world country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, and then arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. However, the money never goes to the country. Instead, it goes to our own corporations to build infrastructure projects in that country, power plants, highways, industrial parks, things that benefit a few rich people in that country, as well as our own corporations, but do not help the majority of the people at all. And yet the whole country, is left holding a huge debt. And it's such a huge debt they can't possibly repay it. So at some point, the economic hitmen go back and say, you owe us a lot of money, you can't repay your debts, so give us a pound of flesh. When I failed to bring them around, to get them to accept these loans, to get them to put their countries into servitude, then I knew that standing right behind me were what we call the jackals. And these are people who overthrow governments or assassinate their leaders. And both Jaime Roldos of Ecuador and Omar Torrijos of Panama were assassinated by CIA-sponsored jackals because I failed to corrupt them.
The Department of Defense, and you should know better because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster. Here is the bill. Bobby, come on over here. Now you're talking about treatment. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, a quick question about Turkey.
Thank you very much. In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs.
Apologize to the chess. Parliamentarian Framework Officer's second term to Sudani in exchange for a fee. That being, hey, look, if you'll agree to stop running in politics, we'll give you one last term. You've been so effective. Watching the negotiations on the political front, watching Maliki and all of these folks has been laughable. The people are so clear on who they support and want. I just want to remind you guys, as you hear news coming out of Iraq presently, it is going to be heavily manipulated because of the election cycle, just like we saw in the U.S. Don't let it shake you. You see where you're at. You see where the coverage was a year ago. Filter through it. Huge progress being made in Iraq. It shows you just the strength that they are willing to throw anything at Sudani. All right, finish what you want to do, and then we want a chance at the reins. Iraqi ministry announces new recovery units. Boy, this sounds like something we're doing here in the U.S. too. Today, Monday, the Ministry of Education announced the creation of new units for the recovery of funds to enhance financial management. The Ministry of Education established specialized units and general directorates of education, Baghdad province. Anyways, they're using these agencies to go after corruption, find it, make certain that they have safe, accurate procedures. So it's not only corruption, it's also just streamlining. Does this not sound like Doge? I mean, this really sounds like Doge to me. What does Doge sound like to me also? Nacera, you clean up those governments. I just love watching this play out and all of the different ones that we are watching. We've seen the same movement in Vietnam. We've seen it in Indonesia. We're seeing it in Iraq, in the U.S. $59 billion in Iraqi custom revenues after the implementation of this guide. This is just the increase from going modern with all of their software, et cetera, for collections from ports, taxes, tariffs, et cetera. I'm certain you're going to hear Militiaman doing a piece on this one before the week is out. That's a huge difference. It's money that was being grifted, slid off the top by politicians, or simply just not collected. So modernizing their systems is greatly improving their government efficiency. Quantum leap. Iraqi port receives 207 oil tankers during the first quarter of 2025. This is all more of that Belt Road Initiative for the Iraqi initiative to increase their port system, transport system, etc. Just huge progress in a very short order. You're watching a renaissance in Iraq, which should bring us our changed value. Now, let me turn that thing off for now, just so it doesn't distract me. All right, I do have some other stuff coming from the bond side. I don't have notices of the big. They haven't told me whether they received dollars. They've told me they are now have some historic assets. They seem awfully happy and awfully liquid, but they won't tell me yay or nay. But they did say that there is suddenly a lot of competition for some of the bond deals, that you now have competing buying groups, treasuries, Chinese elders, that are now seem to be ramping up to get, how do I put that one? Competing with higher and higher prices for bonds, which should be a very good thing for us. Doesn't tell me when timing is, but that there is a sudden move. We've got some people that were supposed to close, and now suddenly they get an offer for more. I'm finding this interesting on timing. I also had a number of sources come to me over the weekend or reach out to let me know that Venezuela, they are being told that Venezuela is 100% in this basket. That is making me feel better. Is it 100% in? I don't know. They are being told right now, and they are ratcheting back up on the Bolivar side of it. For me, I believe I'm about 99.9% certain that we're going to see that in the first basket now. And I was really questioning it, guys. So that was probably my favorite piece of weekend news, would be the competition for bond and bond deals now, and the Venezuelan currency looking like it is definitely in that basket. That makes me feel good. That's my favorite part of this morning. There's still going to be a whole heck of a lot coming in today. I have a combination of me traveling and Monday getting updates. Trump headed for that Middle East tour, which we can see here. Let's get to that one. Well, I don't know. All right, here's as good a spot as any. I was going to go straight to that Middle East tour, but let's start right here. U.S.-China reach an agreement to lower tariffs in a 90-day cool-off period. Both sides agree, don't want to have... Anyways, huge boost to the market today, as it appears that we have some breakthroughs going on in the China-U.S. Trade war. I do know that there is some massive dollars moving on the trade front for people that didn't think it was coming, didn't purchase. When I say people, I'm talking about larger corporations, orders, plastics, you name it. All that stored up inventory will be moving this week. You will see a massive amount of trade going on internationally because of that pause this week. We are already, I guarantee you're going to see it already. Yeah, we're already up over 1,000 points on the market today because of it. A huge movement. I'm wondering, Sherilyn, if that was, well, I don't know. Didn't they say it wasn't trade related? At least I think that's what was said. It's all starting to run together.
Majid posted on X, 2:29 a.m. May 13, 25. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go. Shafak News. Dollar-dinar exchange rate expected to hold steady in Iraq. Scott the Healer. Hold steady meaning at 13.10? Hope not. Majid. No, the exchange rate for the dollar in Iraq was 1,500 for each $1. Because the dollar was so rare inside Iraq, the price went up for it. Now the price went down close to 1,300 against $1, meaning the black market in Iraq is getting fucked. Oh, I hope so, because it's very tiring. Forwarded from Steve TCI, TNT update for May 12th, 2025. There will be no call today, but there will be info. There was a memo sent out today that took effect at 4 o'clock Eastern. This memo was a stop sale order for all banks, and it goes in effect for the next 24 hours. So hopefully in the next 24 hours we will receive the 800 numbers and we will start scheduling our appointments. First appointment should be tomorrow, if not Wednesday. All other info says one person is holding this up for personal reasons, and I don't want to get into it today. Hopefully we will have a late night call or extremely early one tomorrow. Forwarded from Ginger's Liberty Lounge. Ginger. Love this. It's coming. 05/11/25. Trump claims total reset with China amid talks. Barron posted on X 7:59 a.m. May 13, 2025. Breaking. FEMA Director Cameron Hamilton just got dragged out of HQ for defying Trump's order to shut it down. No resignation, no retirement, just removal. FEMA was a deep state weapon, land grabs, black ops, fake emergencies. Trump pulled the plug. New boss, Marine warfighter David Richardson. Mission, demolish FEMA from the inside. The control grid is collapsing. CDC, DOJ, IRS, you're next. No privacy, excellent news. FEMA has abused way too many people for far too long. Caroline Levitt at Pressec. In 1 week, President Trump reached trade deal with UK, negotiated trade deal with China, secured ceasefire with Houthis, secured ceasefire between India and Pakistan, freed American hostage Eden Alexander from Gaza, signed historic executive order to slash drug prices, a historic president delivering historic results. There's much more work to do, and the best is yet to come. Francis Hadlocon posted on X, May 12, 2025, 5:19 p.m. The reset is global. When rogue nations start slashing zeros, you're watching dominoes fall. Next phase, liquidity flood. Eyes on Iraq, eyes on value. Majid comments, Iran will drop 4 zeros from its national currency. Iran hinting the RV. Gold Telegraph. Iran will drop 4 zeros from its national currency, the rial, and rename it the Tuman. This is what happens with fiat currency, all based on confidence. Forwarded from Ghost of Israel, Operation SANDMAN. Donald J. Trump. On Truth. At Real Donald Trump. Happy Mother's Day to all, and to all a good night. Posted May 11, 2025, 12:06. Happy Mother's Day to all equals 254 equals Trump administration. And to all a good night equals 179. That's equal Operation SANDMAN. Operation SANDMAN, for those who don't know, Operation SANDMAN is a collaboration of 100 plus nations in agreement to simultaneously sell off their US Treasury holdings, sending them back to the US to collapse the US dollar. Alert update. Qatar to give super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet to President Trump and the US. The administration announced is preparing to receive it. This new jet will be converted into an alternative Air Force One jet for the president. It's posted by Kip Carl Patriots. Forwarded from Geopolitics Live. Money talks. Markets hit 2-month high. Commodities rally as Trump backs down in trade war with China. The S&P 500 is up 3% plus. Nasdaq surged over 4% and the Dow rallied over 2.5% in a few hours following news of the US-China trade truce, which most analysts admit was a blowout victory for China. WTI, Brent and OPEC basket crude oil futures are up nearly 2% apiece, with iron ore, steel, aluminium, soybeans, oats, sunflower oil and feeder cattle up between 1 to 2% as traders expect a return to more normal trade between the world's economic juggernauts. Effective Wednesday, US tariffs on Chinese goods will be slashed from 145% to 30%, while Chinese duties on American goods will be cut from 125% to 10% for a 90-day period as negotiations continue. Trump said Monday that the 145% tariffs are history and won't come back even after 90 days, since they would effectively mean a complete decoupling in the US-China trade relationship. This is funny. The entire world's a stage. This one is wild. Why would they even do this? Forwarded from Watcher Guru, just in, 2.2 trillion added to the US stock market today. Nordiqa posted on X. RV cloaked in Pharma, the Trojan horse just rolled through the gates. He didn't say RV, but he totally did. He talked about value realignment. He said the US would no longer pay more than the rest of the world. He triggered trillions of dollars in savings. He used most favored nation status code for equalized global value. He framed it all as starting immediately. Translation: this was a currency reset announcement, cloaked in medicine. The days of the US being drained are over. Value will now be fair, balanced, and global. The switch is flipping quietly behind the scenes. Forwarded from Ariel, the General posted on X, 3/31/12/05/25. Breaking: Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says they might soon have to begin phasing out their reliance on US security aid. This is how you know a Donald Trump is ditching his side chick. He threw some money on the bed for the services rendered and some extra cash for Uber. This fling has run its course. Time to find another sugar daddy. I love that. Forwarded from BioClandestine. Over the weekend, Trump stopped a nuclear conflict, freed last US hostage from Hamas, lowered drug costs by 30 to 80%, negotiated a deal with China, stopped fentanyl, and now he's on his way to the Middle East. If you are still rooting against Trump, you are part of the problem. Forwarded from Mike Barra. Pay attention to your intel. I'm hearing Trump may make some remarks upon his arrival in Saudi Arabia or at his first public event that will be of interest to us. My information is the same as Tony's, that Trump stopped it late last night. His remarks are scheduled to be made around 2 a.m. Pacific time. This is the time of night that I have been told for a long time to expect things to change. It might be a coincidence, it might not. Alert, IQD investors. Signs are pointing to a potential RV. Trump teased earth-shattering announcement May 6, 2025 could tie to Middle East moves, with Hamas releasing a hostage May 11, signaling ceasefire progress. Iraq's dinar revaluation buzz is growing. Kurdish oil flows boosting revenue, tariff reductions stabilizing markets, and IMF Article 8 agreement April 26 pushing for action. Stay ready, big things may be coming. At Big Ape 671-80594 on X. A2Z Dreamz update 05/12/25. President Trump boards Air Force One. For those who thought Trump didn't say anything significant today, look closer. He did speak and his words carried serious weight. He mentioned the redistribution of wealth and the need to establish global parity. Though framed in the context of pharmaceuticals and healthcare, many heard something deeper. Clear signals pointing toward global financial equalization, in other words, the RV revaluation and the GCR global currency reset. And here's where it gets even more interesting. It has long been said that Trump must be out of the country for the RV to begin. Well, he left today aboard Air Force One at 11:10 a.m. See the pic above, heading to the UK and UAE, both key players in global finance. To those paying attention, this wasn't just another speech. We believe this was what we've been waiting for. If you didn't hear it, watch Trump's speech for yourself here. May the 12th, 2025. Trust the direction that you're heading in currently. Trust the moments of unpredictability and all the sudden shifts. Trust all the unexpected turns, stops, and detours. Your spirit guides are leading you to where you need to be, even if it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar.